What's going on, guys? It's Sootch Live. We do so many on Sensible Prepper. I started to say Sensible Prepper Live. But we've got some really cool things to talk about today. And we have Robbie Wheaton from Wheaton Arms and the Robbie Wheaton YouTube channel. I think there's a link. Typically, there's a link down below in Sensible Prepper, but not in Sootch, which we need to have, I think. But check out Robbie Wheaton's channel. He's been a gunsmith for over 20 years. Did a lot of STI builds.
Yeah,
lots of them, and
a lot of prodigy work now.
Yeah. Does all kind of Glock aftermarket barrels, triggers, some of the best trigger on the market. He actually supplies Palmetto State with their upgrade triggers for their daggers. Just a great guy, and we're really glad to have him, especially on the gun side. We do a lot of stuff with the survival side, but we decided today to jump into new guns.
Yep.
And the big thing is we were just at the NRA show, regardless of how you feel about the NRA, because Lord knows they need some help. But we were going to the show mainly to support the gun industry. And man, there was a lot of cool stuff. You know, guys, I say all the time, we live in the golden age of firearms.
Yep.
It is getting more and more golden. It's just beautiful. Then we have Sarah Mack. She's sitting over there at the computer. She is monitoring comments and questions. So if you have questions, feel free to jump in. Some of these guns that were the first time I saw them was this weekend in Indy. And some of them I have known about. So we may or may not be able to answer all your technical questions, but we just want to talk about some different ones. And a lot of these are coming up for review, which makes it really nice as well.
Well, it's really cool to see, you know, at SHOT Show, a lot of companies release new firearms at SHOT every year in January, February. And that's an industry trade show just for people that are in the industry. The thing that I really like about NRA, and like I said, no matter how you feel about the NRA, one thing that they do right is their national convention. To be able to get firearms manufacturers, the media, and just the average citizen together to where they can actually commingle with one another and get to see a lot of new stuff. And this year, a lot of companies really brought out their newest and greatest at NRA instead of at SHOT. So some really interesting things to see.
Yeah, they've been doing that lately. So, and again, he's right. I mean, it is a great time for just anybody to come, and you can put your hands on them. I mean, you can touch them and, you know, see what they are. And that is even better than possibly a video. Plus, you can talk to the experts.
Right.
So we're going to go through this list. We have a lot of things to talk about. And so we really want to we just thought it'd be pretty exciting. Yeah. I am excited. I mean, I am really excited about what's coming up. And so I thought I'd pass some of these along. So the first one that I really want to kind of bring up is the new FN Reflex. And this is a small 9mm compact double stack micro 9. You know, and I'd heard they'd come out with it.
Yep.
And so I was like, you know, we're going to go by the booth. And so actually I was working with Get Zone, and they were doing some interviews with some of the booths, and it's on their Get Zone Instagram, and it'll be on the Instagram. I mean, the Get Zone, getzone.com. It'll be on their website. Thank you, Robbie. I'm needing some help today. Guys, I'll just tell you, I was at the range and I looked down and it was 15 till, and I was like, so I was grabbing stuff and bringing it up. But the Reflex, one of the things that really struck me, and I know you haven't, I mean, I'd never seen it before.
I'm actually familiar with it.
Okay, good. Well, then we can get some input. One of the things about the Reflex to me, because a lot of times when you have these micro 9s, they have their form factor is a little bit, you know, it's how they design it, and that's fine. But one of the things about the Reflex, which really impressed me, was the size of it. I mean, the silhouette was like really nice. It was really thin. The grip has a lot of texturing to it, and it's just small. I mean, it's concealable.
Yeah, and it's 11+1 and 15+1 with capacity.
That's right. That's right. And in fact, I had one of the guys that actually was the designer there that was talking, and so he really had a lot of information about it. But it's optics ready, but it's a really small, thin, concealed carry option with that little bit higher round capacity, and it falls in that really sweet spot size.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing when I left, I just kept messing with it after, you know, we finished the interview and everything, and I kept just handling it and looking at it and going, this is a great size. I've picked up some. Well, it's like my wife. She loves the Shield, the Smith & Wesson Shield. I like the Shield, but to me, the borax is a little high. It kind of rides up in your hand. But it's a hugely popular firearm, so I'm not discrediting it. but my
It's
wife
just not your
loves it.
favorite.
Right,
Yeah.
but the Shield Plus, it's a great version, which we upgraded her to the Shield Plus.
Yep.
She loves it. I love shooting that. I did really enjoy shooting that. It gives a little bit more to the grip. So there's a lot of different, opinions about different guns, but this Reflex really just kind of hit that button for me. So was there anything about it that you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you really hit all the hot points with it. It's just a really nice looking pistol. Fits your hand well. The magazines, the extra capacity that you've got your 365, your SIG P365s, and the Hellcats and stuff that are really popular. And I think this one is going to be a really good option other than the Hellcat or the 365. So it's nice to see other companies starting to really dip into that micro 9 market with the extra capacity, the reliability that you've come to expect from FN. I think it's going to be a home run.
Right, I do too. So I mean, that was a very impressive gun. Now, as we were driving, going to Indy, we're driving down the road. I had pulled up my Instagram and came across the Henry Big Boy revolver, and I was like, "What?" I mean, I understand. I was like, "What the heck?" And actually, that was the first booth that I stopped at because I was like, "I've got to check this out." I just wanted to see what it was about. Now, the thing is, it's a little bit of a more traditional, classic looking.
It looks like a Mosin Nagant with a Colt bird's head grip on it.
Well, it has also the gunfighter grip.
Yeah.
Which to me is a lot more suitable. I think a shorter barrel would be better, but a lot of people like the bird's head.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's got an exposed ejector rod, and it's nicely styled though. But this is the thing that the guys at Henry said. They said they were looking to put a revolver that is in the Henry line. And you know what? It does. It falls within the Henry line.
It does. It's like that retro late 1800s, early 1900s revolver. It really fits in that genre.
Right.
But it's not like a lot of Henry's rifles, which are knockoffs of or reproductions of older firearms. It's kind of a mishmash of a lot of the old revolvers from the late 1800s, early 1900s that they kind of went through and they're like, yeah, I like that feature and I like that feature. And yeah, that's pretty cool too. Let's put all that together in a revolver.
Right.
And it's very unique. It's a very unique pistol.
It really is. It's just got a different look. And one of the things that was funny because I posted a couple of things.
But the bluing on it,
it's
they
nice.
killed it with the bluing.
It's nice. And the grips are really beautiful. It's the same wood that they have on their lever actions. All American made, 357 Magnum 38, double action. And that was one of the things they said. A lot of people were like, double action. Yeah. Why didn't you come up with a single action? And, the one thing he said and that's another thing. They have a lot of guns to compete with in the double action category.
Yeah.
So this just kind of makes it a different gun. And what they said was they're making them. They're beautiful. They're pricey because Henrys typically have a lot of quality to them. But he said the thing, their market is really Henry customers.
Yeah.
More than just whoever.
Well, the guy that's looking for a very traditionally styled revolver is going to instantly be drawn to that pistol.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody that's a Smith & Wesson fan or, a Colt Anaconda or a Colt Python fan, they're right. Or the Rugers, exactly. The SP101s and stuff. It's probably not going to be their market.
Right.
But the guy that's looking for that traditionally styled firearm is going to instantly be drawn to it.
Right. It's just kind of a style thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and there were a lot of comments going, but there were a lot of great comments. And people have said, I've already ordered one, and honestly, I love it. I love revolvers. And I'm not going to carry a 4-inch revolver typically as a concealed carry.
Yep.
It's something that I would take out to the range and just enjoy. And I'm a big fan of Henry. So, it really falls into that niche. And then next, and Henry's really put out some things lately.
Yeah.
Then the Homesteader, which we've already done a review on it. But it's a different look. And a lot of people are like, well, I'll take the Ruger for half the price. And understand, because I've got one. They're great.
So my take on the Henry, their little 9mm carbine, their Homesteader, it reminds me of my first BB gun that I had when I was a kid, right?
I don't know if that's good or bad. Is that good?
The Daisy Power Line, was it the 870 or 877?
760.
No, not the 760. It's the one that's got like a little humpback on it, kind of like the Brownings. But just the styling of that rifle really reminded me of it. And I was instantly drawn to it. Just the look and everything. I was like, man, that just takes me back to my childhood.
Well, the wood on it is beautiful. I mean, it is more of a ranch type homesteader firearm. I think they named it appropriately. And so it really kind of gives you this retro look. Really kind of reminds me of the old Brownings,
That's right.
automatics.
That's right.
Or the Ruger Cap 9 carbines. You know, Ruger came out with a number of different carbines. And so it really kind of goes back to that. And I think when I was showing it, I brought up the 30 caliber carbine because it kind of gives you that wood kind of vintage, which is what Henry does. They're not making, I mean, they do have some synthetic stocks on some of their guns, but most of them are that traditional Americana. And so anyway, that's just going to be one to me that's really cool, but it's going to be certain people are going to like that.
Yep.
And the other people that want a real functioning tactical type gun, they're going to go to the Ruger, you know, and
well, there's a lot of aftermarket tactical accessories available for the Ruger, and the Henry it's a different market. It is a very traditionally styled rifle. And, you know, I'd love to see it with some larger capacity magazines.
Well, you can get the 30 round mag. You use Glock mags.
That's right. It's got that different adapter for the Glock mag.
So you can go with SIG and Smith. They fit the same mag pattern.
Yep.
And then Glock, and then the Henry. Now, I did not get to test the Henry. It had a 5 and a 10 round mag, right? Henry mags. And I just didn't end up going to the range. I know Honest Outlaw had some issues with the Henry mags, but you know, the Glock mags, I mean, my gosh, you know, I mean, it got 33 rounds or whatever. So, not that we can use that on YouTube, but you know, that it's just got a lot of capacity. And let's see, next with Henry, which is an unusual, this is kind of, I was kind of like, what? But it's the 360 buck hammer. And this is taken, the parent case is a 30-30. And it's a straight walled case, 180 to 200 grain.
That's right.
Bullet.
180 to 200 grain projectile.
Very flat shooting out to about 200 yards, but it gives you a lot flatter trajectory than 30-30. And it gives you a lot softer recoil than 45-70 and 460 Bushmaster.
It's a nice intermediate cartridge. You know, for a straight wall cartridge, I think it's a 355 or 360 diameter on the projectile. And around 2,500 foot per second out of a little carbine.
Yeah.
But, you know, for a brush gun, a little lever action brush gun, it would be a great one.
Right.
Great one.
Well, they were really excited about that caliber. And Henry, I mean, they have the 45 set, they have all the different calibers, but this is one that they just went for, which I thought was kind of unique.
And Remington's on board doing the ammunition for it.
Right.
So
that's right.
Nice to see that.
That's right. Yeah. So Henry, a lot of stuff. We're going to go to one more, and I'm going to jump over and let any questions we have, if you guys want to throw some stuff out. Taurus, guys, they're just completely impressing me. And it's really funny because I've not been a Taurus fan traditionally. And I say that in every video that I bring it up. I'm like, man, Taurus was having issues, but man, they have really stepped it up.
They have really stepped their game up. Absolutely.
They have stepped it up beyond now. Their new executive line revolvers. Now, I've been seeing them, looking at them, and they look really nice. So I was really wanting to check them out. I was very impressed.
See, I'm not familiar with the executive yet. So I have not seen those, and I cannot wait to get my hands on one.
They are impressive. The finish, the fit, the grips, everything about it. Honestly, it's like picking up a Kimber revolver. I mean, and to me, Kimber, one of the big things about Kimber is, which we'll get to in a minute because they've got some new stuff, is that their finishing is some of the best on the market. And Kimber went through its rough spot, but it seems to have really come out. But this executive is like very refined, and yet they want to keep the price down.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, I talked to one of their guys over there, and he said, here's the thing. We have the knowledge and the know-how, and we brought in some really big engineers that have come in and designed this to do the best that we can do, taking all of our knowledge and really putting it into this type firearm. And it shows. It really does. And they've even got the judge, which I almost didn't recognize it. It's so well done. And I've got one of the judges. I love it. I have it in my shop up in the rafter if I can need to, for a bump in the night in my shop, which is my shop now. But those things are just crazy. But this is going to be pretty impressive.
So what kind of finishes are they doing on the executive?
Well, stainless. And it's like a matte stainless, but it is like so nicely done, and the wood, the way it blends together. It's the most beautiful Taurus I've ever seen, and it's probably as beautiful as any double action revolver out on the market.
But a few years ago they did the Raging Bull And I always thought the Raging Bull was a really, really nicely finished revolver. The stainless steel, that satin finish on it, and then the grips and all. It was a really nice revolver.
And that's probably where they're kind of taking it up a notch again.
Yeah.
But just very, I mean, and again, guys, I've not been the biggest Taurus fan. So this was really something that, I mean, I want one.
Yeah.
I want one. Of course, everybody's going, you want everything. I'm like, well, yeah, I do. So, okay, if we have some questions, we'll go to them because we're going to hit Rossi next, and that is something that surprised me.
Ron Midget asks, the Masada Slim, yes or no, would you buy it?
Yes, and double yes. That is a great gun. You know, it goes a little bit bigger than your micro 9s, but it's very considerable, easy to carry. And I'm getting to where what I love about it right now is we've got those micro 9s that are harder to shoot.
Right.
And then we've got the bigger double stack standard guns that are big. It's like these Slims, and I know, well, Hellcats came in with their Plus and different ones. Well, the SIG, XL, and the number of different guns that have come from tiny and not big, but thin and really high round capacity. But the IWI Masada Slim is excellent.
Steel City 556 says, feelings on the Stealth Arms 2011 Platypus accepting Glock mags.
You know anything about it?
I've seen just a little bit about it, but I don't have any experience with it yet. I think it's a very interesting concept and design, especially the fact that it's basically a 2011 that uses Glock mags with some little different styling features and stuff, but it's very reminiscent of what you would see with a 2011, but it uses Glock mags.
Wow.
So, yeah, I haven't really seen any of them out in the wild yet. But I am excited to get my hands on one when they're finally available.
Yeah, because this guy's a big 2011 guy. Well, I am too now. I've gotten to where I love them, man. So
they'll spoil you.
I'll have to check that one out. That's one it's slipped through the cracks for me.
Yeah.
Because honestly, we ran up down the aisles and we missed a bunch of people that we actually were planning on going by and just seeing. So there we go.
Naturally, Nathan says the thumbnail looks like a Beretta or a Taurus. Is that the new one?
Yes, that's the Beretta 80X. And I just was, and really, I was kind of thinking, what in the heck can I put up there? Because there's so much. And I just thought, the Beretta 80X is something that's really kind of hit the market. So we'll come back to some questions in a minute. I want to make sure because we've got so much to go through. The Beretta 80X, we'll talk about that. I'm a big Model 86, 81, 84, all those. I love the Beretta Cheetah series.
Yep.
And I love the way they shoot, and they kind of fell out of favor, but they've come back in popularity. So Beretta just said, let's just upgrade this thing.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like the accessory rail. I was kind of like, man, it takes away from the classic look, but it fits.
I like it.
It fits the form.
That to me, that pistol is like the ideal carry size if it was in 9mm. That's the only, and it's just me, my personal opinion on it. I've got
a lot of people have said that.
I've got one. I don't mind expressing it sometimes, but the APX, if that pistol was available in that exact same size and exact same configuration in 9mm, would be an absolute home run.
Yeah,
I think the 380 is the only thing that, for me, that kind of steers me away from it a little bit. Now, for someone that's looking for a pistol that has a little lower recoil, a little less muzzle flip, if you're wanting to get a full-size, semi-full-size handgun for a woman shooter or someone, a smaller person, smaller hands, it fits the bill for them perfectly. But, I would love to see it offered in 9mm.
Right. Yeah. But this is my side of it, because I agree with you.
Yep.
I mean, there is and there's a lot of people in the comments I noticed that were like, nah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. 380 is softer recoiling, and it's one of the things to think about. Getting the shot on target is number one.
That's right.
And so, and being able to play shots on target, one of the things about the little bit lesser recoil firearms is that you're going to be able to get second and third follow-up shots. And with self-defense ammunition like it is now,
it's very reliable and very dependable
and very ballistically great.
Effective.
Yeah, very effective. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But it's you really. But so to me, 380, while it is a step down from 9, it can give you a lot of performance, and it can get you faster on target, more confident with the firearm. So, and again, that's the great thing about it. There's so many
There's
choices.
so
You
many.
don't have to have it.
Yep.
You know, you can have what you want. But I was really glad to see them coming back with the 380. And then Beretta came out with their APX A1 Compact. They had come out with their A1 before, and now they come out with a compact. And you know, it's a lot like the Walther PDF kind of series gun, but it's a striker fire pistol. But the big thing I'm really excited about was the 80X. I mean, that was the big one. Okay, let's go back to, we talked about Taurus. Taurus owns Rossi. And my first handgun, the first I ever went out and actually bought, was a Rossi Model 88, 3-inch barrel. And, you know, I traded it off years ago, but I bought another one. And it was amazing how close that was to the Smith & Wesson Model 60.
That's right.
But one of the things about it is that it was deemed as kind of a budget firearm. And it is. It was a fairly reasonable gun. They're not now. When you go to try to find one on Gun Broker, they're not cheap. I mean, they're not super expensive. But Taurus has taken Rossi because they discontinued that line for a while. They brought back the revolver line. It is going to be, according to Taurus, a better revolver than the Tauruses. It's a step up.
Wow.
And the trigger is awesome. And they had some 357s with the 4-inch barrel, 6-inch barrel that are sitting there, and they're super thin.
Ooh.
Oh, they are. I mean, I was impressed with that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you guys have me all over the place. But the Taurus revolvers, watch for those and when they come in. I mean, Rossi. Well, in the Taurus executive, but yeah, I meant Rossi. The Rossi revolvers, very impressive again. So Taurus executives, the Rossi's coming in. I'm telling you guys, it's just the golden age of firearms. We keep seeing all this stuff. And then Rossi has introduced, and I think they already had some of these already, but they have reintroduced a lot of their lever actions in their 94. So they're like the Winchester 94 with a top eject, which a lot of people just like because it's so smooth.
They are.
I mean, it's a smooth action.
And are those going to be in 30-30 and some of your more traditional calibers that you'd see?
45-70.
Yep.
Of course, you know, your 22s and stuff like that. But yes, it's going to be in your standard center fire calibers.
Yep.
And the fit and finish on those, I mean, it was like slick. It was like glass.
Yeah.
It was smooth. So it's really awesome to see this, you know, this company coming back in the, you know, into the limelight and really producing a lot of cool stuff. You know, which I didn't really realize this. I kind of had an idea that Heritage revolvers, that's owned by Taurus.
Yep.
And I didn't realize that. And I've got a review coming up of the Heritage, which is just it's just a fascinating option because I've always looked at them and thought, man, those are cheap. And
doing the little single action.
Yeah. I kind of changed some of my opinions about that gun. But
they're an impressive little revolver.
They really are. I mean, for $119 for just a 22, that's ridiculous.
Man, they've got the ones that have you can swap out cylinders with them.
That's what I got.
22 and 22 Magnum.
In fact, we're going to do a comparison with the new Ruger Super Wrangler, which leads us to the Ruger Super Wrangler. Love the little Wrangler. You know, it was an inexpensive model of the single six, and I love the single six, man, and the bluing and just the finish and everything. I mean, it's nice. And then they came out with the Wrangler, which was nice. It was a Cerakote finish. It was just a budget little single action, which, you know, was great. I mean, I thought it was great. But then they come out now with the Super Wrangler with adjustable sights. And, you know, it's just it's got the two chamber, two cylinders and a 22 Magnum. And that is a really nice pistol. And that's something new from Ruger. Plus they came out with their Security 380. And that's been out for just a little bit, but that was a gun that really kind of flew under the radar. And we did a review on it, and it was a very popular result from that review. But nice little, easy to pull back on the slide. Made really, I mean, this is what I'm loving about the gun industry right now. They are producing guns toward female shooters.
Yes.
And those are our most vulnerable. Here's the funny thing, like the PDF, like the Walther PDF or the PDPF. It is, I love shooting it. I love shooting it actually a little more than I do the PDP. So, you know, you got these guns that are really designed for female shooters, those that are recoil sensitive, those that have a little experience. And you're giving them something. not just a little pocket perk gun, but something that they can take to the range and really get into firearms.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's awesome. I love it. I love seeing it. You know, Smith & Wesson did it with the EZ.
Well, you know, you think about it, for decades, the firearm industry targeted, you know, basically males.
Right.
It was a male influenced, male dominated market. And it's really nice to see these companies really starting to branch out and realizing that there is an entire female market that is untapped.
Right.
And women, for the first time ever, are taking self-defense very seriously and realizing that it is their responsibility to protect themselves. And the industry, it's nice to see the industry providing them with the tools to be able to do that.
That's right. As long as the states will let them carry.
Right.
But yeah, there are some really great options that are coming out, and that security. And the great thing is with the Security 380 is it is a fairly inexpensive option, and you're getting 380, and you're getting a double stack 15-round magazine. So those are really cool. Now we're going to go to some questions when she has some ready, and then we're going to go back because we still have some cool stuff to talk about.
Nick asked, I recently bought a PX4 LTT for $580. What's your opinion on that gun, Sootch? I love it.
The PX4 Storm, with the rotating barrel system, it's awesome.
Yeah, and he got the LTT one, which is one that Ernie Langdon does, right? Which is has a lot of upgrades to it. Yeah, I tell you, anything that Ernie puts his hands on, the LTT line is going to be an impressive pistol. Ernie is a great Beretta gunsmith, and he builds tremendous parts and accessories for those firearms.
Yeah, and he wouldn't even mess with it if it wasn't something pretty cool.
Right.
What I love though about the PX4 Storm, because it, you know, to me when I first saw it, I was kind of like, it's a little bit bulkier, and you know, I had a buddy of mine that had a subcompact. It looked like a little bulldog. It was like, you know, this is before they started coming out with some of the thinner ones, but but I have one of the compact models, and it was a police trade-in, but I've shot them before. I love the recoil impulse on that gun because that rotating barrel takes out a lot of the recoil.
You know, I tell people all the time when they ask me what I think about that particular pistol, I tell them it is the softest shooting ugly gun that I've ever put my hands on. And I mean, you know, that's, once again, it's my opinion, but, and I feel that way. You know, it's not a elegantly styled, aesthetically pleasing pistol, but the first time you shoot it, you fall in love with it. It's just so soft shooting.
I agree.
A great trigger in it, short reset. You know, it ticks all the boxes except, you know, the styling. The styling's the only thing I can see with that gun that could be improved. And really not so much with the frame, but more so with the slide, just the lines and everything on the slide. It's like you said, it's kind of thick and it's kind of bulky. But other than that, it is a tremendous pistol.
But you know, and it's funny though, when you start to shoot it, you start to just don't care about that.
You're
because
right.
then you start to fall in love with the design itself.
Right.
So, you know, it's just funny.
CJ LaChapelle asked, Sootch, what is your favorite defensive 9mm round? I go with Hornady critical duty.
That is our go-to. Critical defense, but critical duty with the heavier grain bullet.
Yep.
So what I really love about it is that with that tip, that little rubber polymer tip or whatever it is, it won't catch on close, but it'll allow it to expand.
It still expands, exactly right. And another thing that I found with it, because it is shaped more like a full metal jacket projectile, it feeds very reliably in almost every handgun you put it in. I don't think I've ever had a revolver or a semi-automatic that ammo doesn't feed well in.
Right.
It just works well. You know, you get some of your 9mm rounds, they look like, I just call it a flying ashtray. Exactly. This huge open cavity on the front of the projectile to create expansion and everything, and they don't feed well.
Right.
And that's one thing that I really like about the Hornady critical defense and critical duty is it feeds exceptionally well. It performs, it expands, it does everything that it's supposed to do. I mean, it checks all the boxes for defensive ammunition.
Right. I agree. So that's a good choice.
Dan A through Z asked, new HK P365 light pistol? Question mark.
New P365 light pistol. Well, the
HK P365 light.
I got it. Yeah, I talked to HK, and they're working on something. They're trying to get something, but you know, I think they produce their guns in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And so that causes some issues. They may have a production here. I don't know that I think about it, but
I think they have HK USA.
yeah, but yeah, the biggest problem is the Gun Control Act of 1968, or was it 1937?
68 for importing importing handguns.
Yeah, the Saturday Night Special laws, it made it very difficult. You had to have a certain size before it could be imported into the country. And that means you couldn't make little small pistols. And so it's hindered, just like Canik.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their new MC9 is excellent.
Yeah.
But it took them a while until they could get things around it.
Put enough points on the checklist to be able to import that firearm into the country.
So HK, in fact, I came across a P2000 while I was at the booth, and I've never reviewed one. So I'm hopefully I'm going to be getting one of those to do a review on. But yeah, I would really love for HK to pop up with a subcompact. I'd be like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, then you'd have both ends of the extreme. You'd have the Mark 23, which is like the size of a Desert Eagle, and then you'd have a little ultra compact 9mm over here. So that'd be pretty cool to see.
Ryan Mathena asked, "Hey Sootch, I'm trying to decide whether to buy a Walther PDP or buy a Holosun optic for my Sig Marco. Which would you prefer? Thanks and God bless, from West Virginia."
Well, SIGs, I mean, they're great guns, and the macro is, I mean, with that port and just the shootability of that gun is like fantastic.
Well,
yeah, I would.
He's asking if you should buy the optic or the.
I know.
Okay.
So I'm getting to it. All right. So that's a great gun. So if you're gonna, if you want to switch to the PDP, it just gives you a little bit of a larger pistol. It's a little bit thicker because it's it's the PDP series, and it is. That would be a hard choice because really both of those guns have been hugely well received. A lot of the guys that have the macros are just crazy about it. So, and I think that's with what Sarah Mack said. I think you're wanting to know if you should buy a Holosun for your. I mean, it's a great gun. If you like the way it shoots.
I would, if it was me, I would go with the red dot over getting another pistol. And then you've got, I'm always a fan of buying more guns. Yeah, don't get me wrong there. But if the SIG is your everyday carry and that's your go-to pistol, go ahead and upgrade it and put the red dot on it and move in that direction. And then maybe later down the road you can get the new pistol. But upgrade your existing EDC pistol that you're using right now. Get it exactly where you want it, train with it. The draw stroke and the index point is going to be a little different with the red dot than it is with the iron sight. So that's something that you have to train with and get used to. But I would go with the red dot and then look at getting a new pistol later down the road.
And one thing, just a tip about red dots, and Robbie hit on it, but it can be difficult at first. You really need to train with it to find that dot. But one of the things that it really kind of clicked with me is just look for the sights. Look for your iron sights and the dot will be there.
Yeah.
Just like you're pulling it up normally, you just pull it up. Don't pull it up looking for the dot. Pull it up with the iron sights just in line, and that red dot, if it's sighted in, should be right there where you can see it. And so that was one of the things for me over the years that I've had to transition to, because I've done that. And one time, first time I ever shot a red dot, I was at an event, and a guy handed me a pistol with a red dot. And I was like, oh yeah. And so when I was getting ready to shoot it, there was a reflection. It wasn't even a dot.
Yeah.
And so I kept missing the steel, and I was like, what the heck? And then I moved it, and I went, oh, there it is. So, that's one thing you want to make sure you train with it. But if you want to get into red dots, yeah, I agree. I think I would stick with the macro. It's got that comp on the end, so it makes it really soft to shoot. Mm-hmm. It's thinner than the PDPF. Now, to say that the PDPF is not a great gun, yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's just what I would do.
But right, when you already own that firearm, go ahead and upgrade it and just continue with that one.
Right. Okay, we'll come back to a few questions, but let's go with our list. We've got a few more that we want to touch. One that I really was impressed with is the new FlightLite, and this is kind of an odd bird.
Yeah.
Is the FlightLite lever action AR-15. And there are a couple of different ones out there, but this one, you can take your existing upper and put it on to the lower of this lever action. Yeah. And it's because, it's funny, lever actions have really become popular to tack them out, you know, and I know Chris Costa's done a lot of that work. Yep. And really cool. I mean, it's really cool. But here's the thing, guys, and some people are going, I mean, you know, it's just just something, a range toy. But here's the thing, if you live in a state, because one of the things that they've said is they were legal in every state, all 50 states. I think now, though, they've had some gun law changes, and I think they lost 2 states.
Maybe Washington State.
And maybe California even. Yeah. But the one thing is if you are living in a state that you can't have a higher capacity magazine, or because it uses AR-15 magazines.
Right. Well, that was the thing that it was able to bypass, because most of your high capacity magazines for AR-15s are designed for semi-automatic rifles, where the lever action and the bolt actions and different type firearms like that, they're not restricted for those particular firearms, only for the semi-automatic firearms.
Right. So it gives you that capacity that you can have and still have, you know, and lever actions are fast.
Yes.
I've always said if they ban AR-15s or whatever, which they're not going to because we're not going to let them, but if they happen to have done that sometime, you know, that lever action is super fast, and I really like it. So I just think it's a cool option. And if it gives people in states that are living under tyranny, then it gives them an option to have something, you know, to be in compliance with, you know, the bull crap. But anyway, FlightLite, great. I mean, the quality was really nice. I really like it. Plus, they make belt fed. They make the belt fed ARs.
I thought you was going to say a belt fed lever action. I was like, I gotta see.
Well, you might be able to put you. That would be funny. Oh, okay. Graham Power. Now, Graham Power Stribogs, if you watch the channel, you know that I am a huge fan of the Graham Powers. They're made in Slovakia. They're made as submachine guns. They've gone through a number of iterations with Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, and, you know, Glock Mag 1 and all this stuff. But with the new brace scare, we're still waiting to see what's going to happen with that. But they have a carbine now, the Graham Power Stribog carbine. Great little gun. In fact, and I was like kind of concerned because I'd kind of heard some rumors, so I went by and saw them. They're actually pretty nice little guns. Yeah. I mean, and they're very form fitting. I mean, they're really nice form, and so I was really impressed with it. But here's what I'm really impressed with: they have retro kits now. They're going to be coming out where you can take your existing Stribog, if you find out that, you know, if ATF gets their way, which we're hoping they're not, or you just may want to make it into a carbine. Yeah. But it'll have the 16-inch barrel. And one of the problems with a lot of these guns, especially the imported, is the barrels are pressed and, you know, they're fitted a certain way, and you can't just change the barrel out like you can an AR.
Right. Or like your AK-47, right, where the barrels are pressed into the trunnion and you're pretty much stuck with what you've got.
Right. So if you've got a small little Draco, that's what you got. Yeah. But with this, you can actually, the way it's set up, you can actually remove the barrel nut and put a 16-inch barrel on it, and they have the stock kits and everything. So I was pretty excited to see that because I have like 3 Stribogs, and I'm going, you know, they're not really that user friendly when you don't have anything on the back and you're holding it out like this. And so it makes it nice to have that option. So in fact, I told him, I said, look, I would really like to do a video. I can't do it on YouTube because it's a modification. But what I can do is when I'll do a carbine video and then say, hey, you guys want to see that, you can go to Get Zone, where we do a lot of our videos there, and we can, you know, and let you check that out. Okay. And I didn't say this one, this is last on our list, but we have some others too. But the Kimber, guys, I'm telling you, Kimber has really stepped it up. I mean, over the past few years, they went through a little slump for a little while, for a few years, and some of their problems, but they got rid of those guys and they brought in some real just professionals that brought their brand back up. And so, and I've done some Kimber reviews, and they're just excellent guns. I mean, they've come back to be really world-class guns. But they've come out now, and with their, and I got to make sure I get the numbers right. Yeah, the KDS 9C. Now, it's a 1911 with a high-capacity magazine, 15+1. So it's a lot like the...
it looks like the Wilson.
The Wilson. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Yep. It's like double the price.
Yeah.
At least
$3,500
yeah,
or
maybe
something.
more. And I did a review on that. It's the 9CE or something.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what the nomenclature was for that one, and it's not coming to me.
But It looks like it. I mean, it has an aluminum frame instead of the 2011 type, polymer housing. And so it has 15+1 capacity. It is smooth, slick. It's beautiful. So
proprietary magazines with it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it is.
Yep.
I think it is, but I'm not positive. I'll have to look and see. But or you can look that up yourself. But Google's a friend. But yeah, Kimber with this new KDS 9C. It's easier to say than it is to remember.
Yeah.
And then, which is another thing. This is one of the things about you guys, and some of you guys don't even care about revolvers, but I just want to say, get yourself a nice revolver, just one revolver. If you have all these semi-automatic polymer frame, striker fire, or even double single action pistols, there is something about a revolver that just expands your experience in the firearm world.
Well, it's one of those, I think, kind of going along with what you said, I think everybody should have a 357 Magnum revolver. It is just it may not be your everyday, but it might be your one day.
Right.
So
I like that.
It's good to have a 357 Magnum. Ammunition goes scarce again, like it has, multiple times in the last 15 years. A lot of times you can still find ammo. One of the last ammunition to go off the shelf is 38 and 357.
Of course, it's one of the last to come back.
It's one of the last to come back too, but it's one of the last to go. And that's why it's nice to have one of those sitting around just in case.
Well, it gives you that extra power. So Kimber has just introduced their K6XS series. And it's an aluminum frame, 357 Magnum. And the price has come down from some of their all steel frames. Because I have one of the K6S. In fact, I've got a 4-inch and a little 2-inch, 2.5-inch. And those are beautiful revolvers, but they're heavy. And so this gives you that aluminum alloy frame option.
Lightweight option.
Yeah, so it's lightweight. And I think it's 2, 4, and 6-inch.
Yeah,
isn't it?
That's right.
So and it's got that Kimber beautiful quality to it. And so check those out. I think those are pretty nice. And again, Kimber has been putting out some stuff as well. And I'll tell you guys, and one thing, this is gun related, but it's not guns. Burris. Now the Eliminator 5, it had this, you could put the scope out there and you could hit it at your target and it would give you the range. It would range it for you. And it would actually line up your reticle, which that was a freaking phenomenal scope.
Yeah, it was the first optic out there that gave you a ballistic solution for long range shooting based off of a laser rangefinder built into the scope, where you could range the scope and then it would pop a dot up on the screen to where you would hold for that holdover for that particular distance.
Yeah, and it's phenomenal, and it does it. It works. But now they've come out with some newer models, kind of along a little bit different line. They're not as expensive, but yet they're good scopes though. I mean, they're not cheap. But Burris has really done a lot, and that's really where the U.S. military is going to, was those kind of scopes where they can range them out and they can hit those targets at different unknown distances.
Yep. And one of the biggest, I think, the downfall of the first Eliminator that they released was the ranging button was on the side of the optic, so you had to come off with your rifle with either your support hand or your dominant hand and hit that button, still try and hold the rifle steady. Which the further out you get, more and more difficult to try and stabilize your weapons platform and be able to hit that laser to be able to range that target. The newer stuff that they have actually has a remote control button that you can mount anywhere on the rifle that you want, so you don't have to come off of the firearm to be able to range the target, which is a great feature.
When we first went out and shot it, I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and honestly, it was a lifesaver because you can, even just having it sitting on the bench, I could line it up, I could go click, and then, whatever I want to do, and then take the shot. But some of their new optics have these same type features. Another optic is Holosun is now introduced a thermal.
Yes, they have.
It's about $2,000.
Yeah.
Which is freaking crazy.
Yep.
And a night vision scope.
And Psionics has a new night vision that's coming out as well, a new thermal that's coming out as well.
I've been very impressed with Psionics too. Yeah. But, Holosun's really done a lot in the market. And to me, they're dominating the red dot market.
I tell you, I think personally, they're the best red dot on the market.
Right.
Battery trays on the top, click adjustable windage and elevation settings on it, fits a RMR footprint, so it's compatible with any slide that's milled for RMR. They're extremely durable. I I've had very few of them that I've seen go bad. And
Yeah.
matter of fact, I've only had one that was bad, and it was bad literally right out of the box.
Right.
And sent it back. My personal everyday carry is a 19X, and I've got one of the Holosuns with an ACSS reticle in it from Primary Arms, and it stays on constantly, 24 hours a day, and it's got a couple of different settings on it. They've got the setting where, well, it's got a setting that'll dim the sight, if you're in a dark room, or it'll brighten it if you're in the light. I run it on the manual setting, ran wide open all the time.
Wow.
And 3.5 years since I've replaced a battery in it. And the battery,
Wow.
I got it out to shoot it the other day. And when I pulled it out to shoot it, the outside circle was gone, and I just had my chevron in the center. And I was like, oh, time for a new battery. But 3.5 years running wide open with that sight before I had to replace a battery in it.
It's incredible what the technology that has been coming
compared
out.
to where we were, like in the late 90s, we're still using Tasco Pro Point PDPs that we're going in and rebuilding to make them strong enough and durable enough to shoot competitively with, to keep them from breaking. And then Seymour came out with their Railway, which was really the first reliable red dot for handguns.
Right.
And it's still a tremendous sight, but it's huge.
You're right.
I mean,
Big.
these things are like the size of my hand. They're monstrous. But to see where the industries came from in the late 90s to where we are today with the electronics, with these red dot sights, it's incredible.
Yeah, and the durability.
Incredible.
Yeah.
The reliability and durability, absolutely. It's like from the dinosaur age to the nuclear age in just a little over 20 years with those things.
And what's going to be coming up.
Right.
And that's the great thing. And guys, there were some guns we definitely, if I thought about it
so
enough,
many that were missed.
The new Lionheart's one. The new Lionheart, they had the Regulus and they've upgraded it, and it's a beautiful double single action. Lionheart really put out, that was really nice. I'm trying to think because there were so many. I got a bunch down, but there were a lot we missed. But guys, again, we live in the golden age of firearms. It's just beautiful to see. Now, if we have a few more questions, we might have a couple of minutes to take some.
Phil Salandino asks, any new 9mm Browning?
Well, they're high power, but I think that's and that's really FN. So Browning, I don't know that they're doing anything right now. I did not get by the Browning booth. Typically what they have right now for handguns are the little micro 1911s,
right,
22s and 380s, which are great guns. But I think they're more focused on their rifles and their shotguns.
Yeah, I haven't really seen anything about Browning releasing a new handgun.
Yeah. So if they have, we don't know about it. So
DLLN BMS7 asks, Robbie, I have a huge question. I assembled my Glock 19 wrong trying to get a stuck case out of the chamber. The feed ramp is stuck in the locking block in the frame. Any helpful tips? Thank you.
Yeah, a couple of things you can do. One, it's going to be a little too much to explain on video here. Give me a call later and I'll walk you through how to fix it. And you can just go to our website and grab my phone number off there. Around 2 o'clock or after today, just give me a call and I'll walk you through how to fix it.
He means 2 a.m, right?
Oh, no, 2 in the morning, my phone's reported to his.
Justin M asks, if you could only have one rifle and one handgun, what would it be?
It would be an AR-15 and it would be a Glock 19.
Yep. Without question.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's just our go-to. And we've shot so many thousands. I've put over 100,000. I know Robbie's probably put even more. 100,000 rounds through a Glock 19.
Bucket, 5-gallon buckets full of brass through those things.
Done a lot of competitive shooting, done a lot of matches. Not match, but training, lots of training. It's just the Glock 19. I love a lot of other guns.
Oh, yeah. There's other guns that I love more.
Right.
But, just for the simplicity, the ease of, easy maintenance, easy to replace parts in the gun, in the field or on the bench, either one there. And that's the same way with the AR-15 as well. They're just easy to work on, easy to maintain, easy to keep serviceable. And they're very reliable and combat accurate enough to get the job done in just about any situation.
Logan Haynes asks, Robbie, what's your opinion on the Prodigy?
I I've got some opinions on the Prodigy. I think they messed up with the finish that's on it. The Cerakote finish for a firearm that's designed to be shot a lot is going to be in and out of a holster a lot. The Cerakote wears quite quickly. I'd have much rather seen that firearm with a black nitride finish on it, or heck, even a Parkerized finish for that matter. Pretty much anything other than the Cerakote. They've used a lot of MIM parts in the gun. I've seen a lot of parts breakage with the Prodigies already, with ejectors breaking, with extractors breaking. I've got a video out already on the magazine with magazine upgrades, and we're going to have all those parts that are listed on that video on our website in the next week and a half or so. So you'll be able to get the parts to upgrade your magazines right off our website. The MIM fire control group in the gun, the hammer, the sear, the disconnector. The first thing I do when I get one of those guns in the shop is take all of those parts out and replace them with the EGW fire control group, and it's accurate.
Well, and listen, this is the funny thing. When I got the and we did the review, and Robbie was part of it.
Yep.
We didn't have any malfunctions.
No, right out of the box, the gun ran great. We got one that worked and worked well. I get a bunch of them. It's right now is probably the number one semi-automatic pistol that I have coming through the shop to have service work done on.
Right. But the big thing is I didn't, because you take and put 500 rounds through something, and you're testing it, and you're doing all this, because a lot of people said, "Oh, it's junk," and you just lied about it and all this bull crap. Look, we have a sample of one, we do it, and that's what we go by.
That's right.
And so this is our experience. That's all it is.
And I tell guys all the time when somebody says, "Hey, what do you think about the Prodigy?" I'm like, it is the best base 2011 platform to start with if you don't mind upgrading it. You can buy one, add a few $100s worth of parts to it, and have a absolutely tremendous pistol. When you compare the Prodigy to the Staccato, which is just about twice the price, or maybe more than twice the price,
right,
of what you can buy the Prodigy for, the Prodigy is a heck of a value. Yet the barrels are fitted right. It's got a good recoil system in the gun. Depending on what you're doing, if it's a carry gun, I recommend going up with a heavier recoil spring from the 8 or 9 pound that they have in it, to an 11 or 12 pound spring, just for reliability purposes. For a range gun, the 8 pound or 9 pound spring that it comes with is fine. But there's a lot of things. I know what Springfield tried to do with the gun. They tried to build a pistol that was a do everything handgun that would be great for carry, that would be great for competition. But there's some things that are really specific for one and specific for the other, like the recoil system in the gun. If I'm carrying one of those, I want a heavier recoil spring in the gun, because I don't want anything pushing on the muzzle or touching the muzzle that could easily take the gun out of battery and prevent it from firing. So little things like that. But for a base 2011 to start with, that you don't mind spending a little bit of money on, to upgrade some things on it, it is a tremendous value.
Right.
Gizzard Gary asked, anybody else wondering why High Point is releasing a carbine in 30 Super Carry?
No.
No. It's funny though. Those little carbines actually are pretty decent guns. I know Nothing Fancy did a bunch of testing with some years ago, and was very impressed with them. I saw a barrel that had like 10 squibs in it, and it was not busted. I mean, but they're ugly as sin. And I picked one up of their standard High Point 9 millimeters, and I was like, good, nah. But yeah, we don't. That's the news to me though. 30 Super Carry.
My only complaint with the little carbine, yes, you're exactly right. It is ugly as sin. But my only, I think, legitimate complaint with the firearm is it is overly complex with the internal design of it. There's a lot of springs and a lot of levers and little pins and stuff. And if you ever try and take one apart to clean it, they are absolute nightmare. I've had several of them over the years brought to me in a bag, and they're like, "Please help." And
like, oh Lord,
they are a nightmare to put back together. So I like, the older I get, I like simpler things, and that's why I like the Glocks. That's why I like AR-15s. They're a simple design. They're easy to work on. They're easy to maintain. And firearms like the High Point, even though it's an accurate, it's a reliable firearm, it does everything that it's supposed to do. It's not user friendly and not user serviceable, and that's a turnoff for me.
I wish they'd go with a double stack magazine on their carbine.
Yeah.
That would be a big plus. Now we're running close on time. We did start about 5 minutes later, but we're gonna. There are two guns though that I failed to mention. I didn't actually put them on the list, but I meant to mention them. That is the Glock new Gen 5 Model 20 and Model 21, which is I've been waiting on, and I bought the others, and then had the others Gen 3 and Gen 4, and now they finally come out with the Gen 5. It really reduces the grip, makes it nicer. It gives you the internals of the Gen 5. And that's a nice one. Of course, the Glock trigger, the new enhanced trigger, which is a totally different feel to it, and
completely different design than anything they have.
And they can't keep them in stock. I mean, they're selling them as fast as they can make them, and so that's going to improve your trigger pull. But one gun, and it's funny because it caught a lot of flack. It was the 47, and it didn't catch flack because there was something wrong with it. It just people were going, why? But here's the thing. And this is why Glock designed it. They said, we've got your G19X frame, you got your longer G17 slide with a shroud at the bottom of that slide. So you can use it as a Glock 17, or you can take that slide off and put a Glock 19, and you can use it as a G45 or G19X.
Right.
So it just gives you more options. And the one thing is, guys, is when these companies come out with new guns, they don't have to be earth shattering. It's just nice that they're progressing and all giving us more options.
Yep.
So when Glock, I talked to them, and so I'm going to get the G47 because I think it's a really cool option. I don't think it's earth shattering. I've got a 19 and I got a 19X and a 45, and I got them all. But the thing is, this is just something that and the FBI was asking for that particular design. So that in itself makes it kind of neat that they've asked and requested for this type gun.
Yep.
So,
and one thing to keep in mind too with the new G20 and the new G21, it uses a different barrel, a different locking system, and a different recoil system. So you won't be able to buy the 20 or 21 and use any of your Gen 1 through 4 barrels or guide rods or anything in it. They're not compatible, kind of like with the Gen 5 17.
Right.
It's going to be its own standalone barrel, its own standalone recoil system that will work in those particular pistols.
And I have a G21 coming, so we're going to be a Gen 5.
Yep.
So we're going to be looking at that, and we're going to be comparing it.
Yeah, maybe do a little comparison contrast between the 1 through 4s and the 5s.
All right, guys, we're going to have to wrap it up. Looks like it's about that time. I hope you enjoyed it. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. Guys, coming up, a lot of this stuff is either already in your gun shop or it's headed that way. And so it's just, again, it's just really thrilling to see a lot of the guns. It's funny, over the years, especially back in the 80s and 90s, I mean, people would have, maybe 12 guns. That was kind of like, I think, the average for a gun owner.
Yeah.
It was about 12. And that number has had to have quadrupled.
Yeah.
Because people now are starting to buy firearms and buy multiple firearms, and something new comes out and they buy it and they try it out. And, and so there's just a lot of options out there. And it's really cool to see these companies continuing to innovate, continuing to get better and better. So
and it's nice to see ammunition available again and back down to almost normal pre-COVID prices.
Right.
Stock up while it is.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, definitely, guys. We've said this, and we said this the last time. Get your ammunition, have it put back. It's a great investment because it will happen again.
That's right. That's right.
And it will happen. We've had it 8 times where ammunition has disappeared off the shelves, and it took a long time for it to come back.
Election year coming up next year, and ammunition generally starts drying up toward election years. So we've got it. It's available. Prices are way down. Stock up now. Like I said, it's an investment. Even if you buy it, don't use it, it skyrockets next year. You can always sell it.
That's right. You can sell it, make some good money.
That's right.
So, guys, we really appreciate Robbie Wheaton for being here. Again, check out his YouTube channel, Robbie Wheaton. WheatonArms.com is his business, and check that out. He does a lot of custom gun work.
Yep. And
he also has Glock aftermarket parts and accessories. The flat face trigger is the best for your Glock 19. The best. And
they're back in stock.
We're good. Well, and we really appreciate Robbie for being here, and just a lot of knowledge. And also Sarah Mack for monitoring the questions and getting those out to us. We really appreciate her kind of helping put everything together. So I know we don't typically do lives over here. We do every once in a while, but we do typically a live over on Sensible Prepper on Tuesdays. And we have a prepper school, and we've got a lot of videos if you want to go back and check them out. Because, guys, here's the thing. Number one, I want you to be prepared. You don't have to go doomsday prepper on me. You know, you can just like have some food and water put back and, you know, a few things, you know, just to get you through the tough times. Natural disasters will do that.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have that kind of stuff together. But also to take self-defense is your responsibility. And that's what the Sootch channel is all about. And of course, gun reviews are what get people to buying guns, and then they start concealed carrying, and then they can join the fight against anti-gun legislation. And that's what we want. So the more gun owners we have, the more people preparing and having some stuff put back, the better off we are as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So just, you know, stay strong and watch what's going on, because guys, it's kind of crazy out there. So we're going to sign off. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic.